I'm Chris Whitney. This is my third time running a segment of MS Run the US. I ran in 2021 as well as in 2023, and then had the great opportunity to run again this year. So I run because my mom Joyce has had MS since I was about 4 years old, so this goes all the way back to 1988. I've seen that have a great impact on not just her life, but anybody who's been around her, family, friends, et cetera, et cetera. And then also run for my friend Kevin Beadle, who's had MS. I believe he's been diagnosed since 2018. So I run primarily for both of them, and it's definitely one of the best things I've been a part of. It's been good to just be a little bit closer to home. I'm still, a little bit out from being, into Lincoln, but this is an area I'm a little more familiar with, and so it's also an area my wife's pretty familiar with too. A lot of time spent in and around the Hastings area. She went to college at Hastings College, so that's been kind of fun. Hitting those big days, I had a big goal coming into this. I wanted to do my segment in 5 days instead of 6, and so that meant upping the mileage. Before this, I had run 1 day of a segment previously where it was 31 miles. Already, this week, that goal obviously went up with that. It was to average, 32 miles a day, and even more than that some of those days. So it was definitely challenging. I looked at it as such, but I think my running, since I've been able to come back from my injury that I had 3 years ago, has really evolved. I've been able to run a lot smarter, kind of do the things to rehab as best I can, and just really go out there and enjoy it. I mean, this is something that a lot of people would really love the opportunity to do, even for just 1 day, to get out there, walk, run, whatever it might be. And the fact that I get to do this, for a whole week is just more than I could ask for. It's perfect. So my mom has had MS for pretty much as long as I can remember. I guess growing up, I didn't exactly know what it was. I knew that sometimes she couldn't walk as fast when we were maybe out for a family walk or something along those lines, or playing catch in the backyard. So I just kind of knew something was a little bit different, and it wasn't until I was probably getting into the latter part of my high school days where she was having to use, a cane, use a wheelchair a little bit more. And then a few years after that, kind of when I was in college, it really started to go downhill where she could not walk at all. And unfortunately, it's gotten to the point where, there's not a lot that she can do for herself, running or walking, anything like that, certainly long gone. She used to be very active, would walk around at lunch, worked in downtown Lincoln, so would go to all the lunch spots or just get out and walk a little bit to enjoy an afternoon or something. And unfortunately, that's something that she hasn't been able to do for a long time. And it's been really hard to see her go through that. My brother and I had to grow up through that, through kind of different stages of that. His, high school days, he was really having to be in kind of a different role than I was. He was more of a caretaker versus where I kind of got to be a little bit more normal, I guess, with my adolescence and high school days, and so he was really thrust into that at an earlier age than I was. And so I think with that, there's always been just an understanding of how important it is to have those caregivers and have those people that help those people with MS. We're all touched by it in some form or another, it seems like, and I think later on in life, I've been able to see that, this disease does affect a lot of people. I think growing up, we kind of felt like we didn't know anybody else who had a parent that was afflicted by it, or somebody else that they knew. And so there's been kind of a silver lining with that, but it's always been hard to kind of see just how much it's taken from her over the years. One of the things, I guess, been able to overcome, just the usual kind of injuries, body knocks. My right Achilles has been a little sore. That was something that kind of predated my run out here. So I was hoping it would clear itself up by the time I ran out here. I ran a little bit less in the lead up to this. Did the Lincoln Marathon at the beginning of May. Kind of had some downtime, but was trying to keep my miles up just because I knew I had this on the way. And so, it's been a little sore. Different terrain, certainly. The weather's been a little warmer, as you'd expect here for Nebraska in the latter part of spring. Nothing I haven't seen before. It was certainly hot on the relay both times I was able to run in 21 and 23. And just some other things, not related to running. Unfortunately, we lost a family pet, right before we came out here, so that's certainly been on the mind. And, just trying to overcome that. There's a lot of things that's kind of get to us in everyday life, but running's still for me, and I think for a lot of people that have that blessed ability to be able to run, that's your kind of time to get out there and kind of work through some of those things. I couldn't do it without her. I mean, bar none, whether it was this or just any of my races that I do. She's the reason it happens. She's, you know, she gets it. For one, she understands how important it is to me. And it's a chance for us to kind of bond as well. You know, we kind of have different hobbies in a lot of senses, but you know, either she's just really lying to me really well and says she enjoys this part of it, I don't know. But it's something that we get to share, and she's been an integral part, not just this year, but also in 21 and in 23. You know, just being along for the ride, walking with me at the end of days, being able to talk to me about, hey, what's going on out there? How are you feeling? What can we do to help? Just never bats an eye, and I am so fortunate to have that in my life and just have her support and her love, and I couldn't do it without her. I mean, it's as simple as that. It'll be nice to just feel the love and support of everybody that's been along with me for this journey, running, not just people I run with, but people that have supported the relay over the years. There have been so many people that have made donations and have supported and reached out all 3 years that I've done this relay, and I don't know if I deserve it, but you know, they have shown up time and time again, and I can't thank them enough for that support. You know, my family, my in-laws, everybody that just, you know, it has kind of heard the story and why I run, and you know, they see it day in and day out, just how much running means to me and how much Mom means to me and how much this disease, you know, it's affected our lives, and how important it is to have an organization like this that goes that extra mile to not only give people hope, but to, you know, hopefully work towards finding a cure. And so, you know, years from now, hopefully we don't have to do this. You know, that's kind of the biggest thing, I would say.